Good morning. What you doing? Hope you're doing fine. I'm just quickly sharing the thoughts I'm having currently, and they are as weird as my hair today. Let me begin with pointing out that the only thing that is more frustrating than the aftermath of narcissistic abuse is watching the news, including German politicians. It is a display of infantile immaturity. I mean, the narcissistic abuse. German politics is worse. Um, Yet coffee is absolutely soothing and better than any fantasy defense. All right. Um, Well, I will go into this topic today, why it is so frustrating, narcissistic abuse, and why it puzzles, and why it's an ongoing form of abuse, and why it's so special. Um, yes, but first I want to tell you that we get a lot of things wrong. Um, and I want to talk about the people pleasing, and I understand, or you can understand, people pleasing, the people pleaser as an archetype. And as such, it can have toxic forms and it can have beneficial forms or agreeable forms or positive forms. Um, this is similar to many things, also to trauma responses. Every trauma response can lead you out of the situation into a healing process, or it can lead you into spiral inwards. And yeah, when you adopt a behavior in a trauma response that lets you circle and not find a way out of it, okay? So yeah, I don't go into detail of about this. It's think about it. But in the terms of people pleasing, the toxic sides of people pleasing could be that you are avoiding conflict, or that you have a passive aggression, because yeah, these belong together. So passive aggressive people avoid conflict. They avoid the conflict, could be called people pleasing, yet it's a situation that makes living together with a person like that toxic. Okay, so it creates problems and not solutions. The cup, the cup I have is also embarrassing. Um, all right. Um, I'm saying this because I got the term people pleasing wrong. So I thought, all right, I have the problem, or when I identify my role, when I reflect about what I have to learn and what mistakes I made, what led to my to the narcissistic abuse, what made me the being on the receiving end. What happened? Why, when I point on saying, this is a narcissist, and three fingers shown to me. So why did I allow this to happen? And then I said, all right, I was providing all the four S's of narcissistic supply. I can find out what um, qualities, what um, yeah, what I brought to the table that the narcissist needed, and then I can summarize my behavior in a way of I'm a people pleaser, which makes it easy to manipulate me, okay? And then I thought that, yeah, a people pleaser, is a person that is socially highly agreeable, that is has communicative skills, that is looking for harmony in every um, environment he or she lives in, and that is honest and naive and thinks of other people before they think of themselves, and so on. And this is a way to describe a people pleaser that is on the, in some way, not toxic side, because that's not toxic at all. It means you are not abusing people. You don't, you're not externally validated. You do not apply manipulative tactics. You do not rely on the validation of a shared fantasy by people in the environment, that therefore you have to coerce and you don't have to um, yeah, coerce your environment. So it's not about power dynamics that you want to apply to anyone. But I have learned that this is not necessarily the typical people pleaser. And yes, people pleasing can have very negative forms as well. Okay, so again, it can be the avoidant attachment style. It can be passive aggressive behavior, and it can also be yeah, all kinds of these yeah, avoidant tactics. Okay, and so I first I identified myself as people pleasing, and then I found out when I heard some other people, or also specialists on the topic of narcissistic abuse, talk about people pleasing, I found, oh, I'm not a people pleaser actually. That what I am is not people pleasing. Okay. Anyway, yes. Why is narcissistic abuse an ongoing form of abuse and such a special form of abuse? And I can't go in all the details here, just about what I just currently think about. And it has to do again with the narration, because narration is an ongoing form of abuse, so to say. Also, it has to do that narcissists are in a way that they cannot give you something. They cannot give you what you give them, okay? Never. In your relationship they couldn't, and they will not give it to you today, and they will not give it to you tomorrow. They can't. And they can't even see that and admit that, okay? So in other words, a narcissist will never come to you and tell you, yes, I have no core identity, I rely on mimicking you, and I rely on winning in a very toxic way. I need that. um, I basically, I'm not an equal to you. I am not a human being like you. And now I want to take responsibility. So I'm still talking as this narcissist that will never talk like that, okay? So, and I'm sorry for letting you pay for the twisted and distorted ego of mine. Um, I'm sorry that I am having a false self with a grandiose self image that I have to prove to everybody and to myself at the expense of my environment. And I'm sorry that I have no empathetic capabilities. So something like that will never happen, okay? And yeah, and this is why we perceive the abuse as ongoing abuse. Because even when we go no contact, when we go out of the situation, the narcissist stays the same, his or her narrative stays the same, and they stay the same. Everything stays the same. So, one more thing I want to say. I'm sorry for narcissists that I trigger, or any person that I trigger, by being generalizing. Yes, I'm generalizing here. And I also let's show some hostility and emotion here that are actually addressed, should be addressed only to the people who treated me the way they treated me. But I'm a human being and I let it show. And I'm sorry for that. I know that not every narcissist is the same. And I know that not every human individual is the same. And I'm not judging people that I've never ever seen in my life here, okay? So I'm honest here. So I'm just saying this. Um, yeah, let me get some coffee, right? No, 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 no. Where do I get my coffee right? No, 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 no. Yes, the narcissist, man. Yeah, so they will never admit anything or understand this narration. Um, yeah, I see through this. And yeah, there's many forms of narcissists, and I am when you're talking to me and when you're listening to me, I am the person to reveal the subtle forms of abuse, and and again we also, because I told you about the people pleaser, that there are different types, and not that what you think is people pleasing might be people pleasing. It's also with narcissists that what we call narcissists can be a person with strong narcissistic traits. It does not necessarily have to be a fully fledged narcissist, but we will never find out. They can't be diagnosed if they don't perceive their own narcissism as a problem they want to address. Okay, so and why? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to even think about this true form of diagnosis or something. But yeah, what we call narcissist can be a person with strong narcissistic traits, and it can as well be any personality of the dark pentagram. Um, can be a psychopath, can be overlapping, can be a somatic narcissist with secondary psychopathy, or you know, any kind of combination, can be borderline with primary psychopathy. We're not here to find out these subtle details. We need this awareness. So also a covert narcissist and borderliner, or a victim of abuse itself that suffers from CPTSD. These three um, can only be distinguished by a professional licensed therapist. Okay, so a borderliner, a covert narcissist, and CPTSD victim can look very similar. Okay, and this is why I'm saying we don't really know what we're talking about when we say the narcissist, but we have to say something, right? It's abusive people. They have no moral core, they have no identity core, and they have these common traits of being manipulative, and they are not conscious about it, and they will never admit it, all right? Yeah, and they can be subclinical, subliminal, subcriminal, or it can be in your face. A strong traits that really show in very pathological ways. Mm, sorry, excuse me. There's some. Okay, now the abuse is ongoing, or we perceive it as ongoing, and this is because we are, and yeah, what I also want to say, why is it ongoing, is we perceive it also as a strong waking up experience, because we learn so much about ourselves then, but it's also a very alienating, puzzling, jeopardizing effect. And the alienation problem is that we perceive a person that we thought is a human being like we are, turns out in a very sudden realization as not being equal to us in many terms, not on the same level. Yet they look down on us because they have grandiose self sense. But we have to even zoom further out and just see it as what they are. And this is alienating them completely from us. And our mind will tell us not everybody is like that. Um, the mind can do all the things rather quickly. Say it's a broken child, it has this childhood trauma, it needs to live in an infantile relationship with where they parent each other, and they need to live in a shared fantasy, and this is why they have to defend their shared fantasy in a closed cult like state. They have to surround themselves with perfect enabling enablers, and they use flying monkeys, and they do all this, and you understand this. But it's an alien. This is an alien, what I'm talking about. And it was a person that was close to you, and now you realize it is an alien to you. It's alien, and you are an alien to them. There is no common ground anymore, and it can never be common ground, and there was never common ground. This is the puzzling experience. Also, the physical effects in terms of how much impact it had on your life is also something that is um, easy to understand in the mind. You can say the environment, everything that the narcissist is attached to, is poisoned for me. It's dirty. It's enmeshed in trauma. It's something I have. It's something. It's infertile. Okay, nothing good can grow from that. It's dead. Okay, everything is dead. And what the narcissist puts hand on is dead. You can say all these things to you, but to really live with that and have it integrated in a physical way, trauma is physical also. It's in your body. This takes time. This is what takes the time. And this is why we perceive it as an ongoing story. We have to, you know, recreate our lives from scratch after narcissistic abuse. We have to be strong, and we have to be everything that the narcissist pretends to be. And the mirroring also never stops. And this is so puzzling, and it's so ridiculous. It's so satirical as a lot of things in the world today when we look in the news. Everything is, it can't be more satirical. It can't be more weird. So it's really alienating, all right? The narcissist is an alien drone invasion in your life that mirrors you to the end. It mirrors you to the end. If I start eating rocks today on YouTube and claim that this is whatever, the next day I'm the next day I will see the narcissist eating rocks as well. Okay, so um, it's just un. Your mind can tell you the things, you can understand the backgrounds, but your eyes can't believe it. Somehow, something like that. It takes time to integrate this, to detach yourself from that, to say, they coerced you in this competitive thinking about everything, and then they competitively occupy your role, which makes it more puzzling and alienating what is happening, because they pretend to be you before you realize what your role is, because you're an authentic person. You're not strategizing ahead, and you're not constantly trying to create a sense of self and identity. And man, it's so ridiculous and absurd. Narcissistic abuse. Yeah. I think we need a lot of humor to deal with it. Humor is the most important. Never lose your humor. Okay. Although, in another way, you can't understand an absurd and satiric experience. Yeah. And that is what narcissistic abuse is. But it's not funny. Yet, don't lose your humor. We need to laugh. Another thing a narcissist cannot do is they can't laugh about themselves. This is why the thing is, when you can laugh about yourself, by the way, this has the Heyoka shaman vibes, which means when you can laugh about yourself, you can also make a joke about another person without the intention to hurt them. It can be a teaching for them. Like, you see that they compete with you about something that is absolutely pointless, and that they have this infantile, childish, grandiose, serious sense of superiority or self, and then you just smile about it, confront the person with how ridiculous that is, and move on. And it's not targeted to destroy this person, it's just to give them a hint without completely exposing them, actually. But what it does with a narcissist is it switches them on red mode, on kill mode, even though they don't show it to you. But this enables the kill mode in them. Okay, this is the hornet nest that then goes crazy. Yeah, it's hornets. They are very waspy and hornety. Yeah, I shared this video just recently on my channel. You can look it back. I opened it up. The wasp in the narcissus. Yeah, narcissists are very much like hornets or wasps because they are territorial and they can't live in peace. They can't coexist peaceful. Narcissists need chaos and war, but they project a picture of being peaceful and agreeable. This is all puzzling, and this is why you need humor to understand them. Okay, I guess I just talked something out of my chest. Yeah, to summarize it, I wanted to tell you that we still always have to keep an inclusive mindset and relabel things. We might have thought, are we people pleasers? But that what we are is not people pleasers. We might have thought that we are a victim in some sense. This is important to admit really what happened. But in fact, we are, without creating a new or another shared fantasy about ourselves. We are strong, we are not people pleasers, and we are not victims in another sense, from another perspective, probably, maybe. So we have talked about this, the people pleasing part, and we also talked about why narcissism is so different from other forms of abuse, and that is an ongoing experience that you first can grasp with your mind. But until your body has integrated all of this, and you started to create the your new life and all this thing, and you stop investing emotionally into this state that you have been triggered to. You are trained to be highly reactive and competitive, even though that's absolutely not your nature. It's a form of coercion, which leads you to invest emotionally into this. And also, the mirroring just makes this worse because there's someone who coerces you into being highly reactive and competitive, and then pretends to be not. And this is mirroring you, and this makes it so puzzling. It's such a stupid game, bro, sister. And we talked about this, and that's just another small video today.